Greetings, I'm Paul Friedman, founder of the Marriage Foundation. The topic is what to do when you have a nagging wife. The short answer is count your blessings. Now, let me get into this. I don't mean to be a wise guy. I want to help you. At the Marriage Foundation, we're all about marriage, but we don't hit things from a Western psychological point of view. I used to be a divorce mediator back in 2001. I shifted professions when a couple asked me to help them, and I discovered these amazing truths about marriage. Now, I'm going to tell you something that your mind is not going to like. Your first initial reaction is going to be negative, but just hang in there anyway. So we are not the mind, we are the soul. And what happens is when our mind is engaged with the world, the mind is a computer. It sort of sits between you, the soul, and the world. So outer things are hitting your filters, and they're hitting your buttons, your reactors. And what happens then is there's not even a calculation, it's on fully automatic. So if your wife says something, if anyone says something, if a dog is barking, whatever it is that triggers your mind, it's going to set up this, you might call it a wall, it might not be a wall, it might be a retreat, it could be whatever it is, it's automatic. Therefore, it's not thought through. And so when your wife is quote unquote nagging you, this is a subjective perception that your mind is having. It means you're annoyed, or you wouldn't use that word. You don't like it, or you wouldn't use that word. And so the you that doesn't like it is the ego. You, the soul, could care less. You know, God doesn't care what we do. He's not affected by our tantrums and by our likes and dislikes, and neither should we be. We should be above those, especially in our marriage, because, and this is probably the most important part of this video for you, we ought to be engaged with our wives on a level that is above the ego. That level is the level of love. When you met your wife, you connected with her because there was this spark, unidentifiable, but it is identifiable when you know about it. We're just not taught. And that spark was caused and occurred at the level of the soul. And it was caused by meeting your soulmate and feeling that connection. Now, what we do with that connection, because we have free will, is up to us. If you're being bothered by your wife's actions, you're never going to make it. You need to rise above those. And believe me, if you don't, and let's say things are just so bad, you go, I can't stand this anymore, I'm out of here. The next woman you're with, she may have completely different attributes that disturb your mind, but she will have them for sure. And then you're going to be in the same place. Why is that? And I think you already know that that's true. I think you can pick up on it intuitively that what I'm saying is absolutely true. And the reason why is because as souls who have bodies, who have egos, we're evolving to the point eventually of being one with our Maker. And so we have a lot of crap we need to get rid of. And it's a setup. God didn't just make this haphazard. It's very defined. We're all on a divine quest, all of us. And that divine quest ends in a place of total bliss, joy, happiness beyond any imagination, because imagination is within the mind. And so you've had this experience. You've had the experience when you look at your kids, or when you met your wife, or when you go to a wedding and you have that feeling come up. That's the real you. This other stuff isn't the real you. You've identified it as being the real you, the ego. We call it the pseudo soul, the false soul, because it's not the real you. So what do? Because that's the topic, right? What to do when you have a nagging wife. One is you gain understanding. Above all of your gains, gain understanding, right? Now, you got that if you've been paying attention. The next thing to do is when the mind is triggered, don't think of it as you, but when the mind is triggered and you have this annoyance come up because, oh man, she's at it again, lift yourself above it and go into a place of total love for your wife. Just go, she's just being her. I cannot control her. You can hardly control yourself. And I'm not going to allow what she's doing to bother me. Instead, I'm going to lift myself up to a higher place of love. I'm going to see her through the eyes of my heart. And I'm going to embrace her first as a vision, and then if the opportunity arises, hug her, kiss her, tell her you love her. But you can't be fake about it. You got to do the first step first, which is lifting yourself above the mind's BS, because that's all it is. Now, I'm not going to sell you anything, but we have courses. And in our courses, these are for people whose marriages are getting really close to the end. I teach a technique called the SO technique. And the SO technique is so that you could stop the mind in its track, that's the S, evaluate the situation, that's the E, and then act with wisdom. Act, there's three kinds. There's the action of thought. You get to control your thoughts because you have free will and it's your mind. You have your expressions, your verbal expressions, you control that, and you have your deeds. So it's really simple, not so easy, because first you got to remember. And so what you do is you stop yourself. You stop the mind as soon as you feel this happening. And then what you do is you go into the space of love and you express that love from the heart. But first you got to be in the heart, or it's going to come across as insincere, phony, BS, and she's going to reject you and get mad at you. Okay? So now you have the higher truth of what to do with a nagging wife. Go to our website, download the top 10 do's and don'ts, explore what we have to offer. There's tons of these videos, lots of articles, not as many, because they're really hard to write, and we have courses if you need them and books if you want to get a little deeper into this. I would appreciate one thing, that you like the video, you could leave a comment and subscribe to the channel. I'm Paul Friedman, founder of the Marriage Foundation. Thank you for stopping by. God bless you and take care.